Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Dietitian Life, where we tell you about our weeks. So I've just got back from Townsville yesterday, so I spent 3 days up there with the crew. It was good. Did some shadowing. Haven't shadowed one of the practitioners up there yet. Just taken over or retaken over the management of Townsville. So it was good to see them again and go through everything. I think I was able to help them.
There was lots of
hopefully
good time spent.
Yeah, there was. Had some drinks, so that's always good.
Talked about One Direction.
We did talk about One Direction. One of the practitioners is very much in love with Neil.
The fact that you actually know the names is...
I didn't.
It's disturbing.
I didn't. I said, like, is it Harry? That's like the one I knew. And she's like, no, it's not Harry Styles. It's Neil. Is that the blonde kid? She's like, yep. So the blonde kid, one of them likes him. Mm-hmm. Anyway, basically some of the stuff that I gave them feedback on, I talked on Snapchat about. So I talked about client-centered approach, and about recognizing that at some point you need to make a decision as a dietitian. A lot of the time your clients will be floundering around and not know what to do, which is why they're seeing you, the dietitian. So it's good to create some advice around that and be client-centered in the approach of actually giving them advice, not just kind of taking what they say and go, all right, yep, we'll do that, especially if it's not working. Yeah, is that like decent advice?
Yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell what you said on Snapchat.
Yeah, pretty much what I said. Yeah, and I think some of the stuff I didn't say on Snapchat was about being definitive with like specific recommendations. So you might talk about a lot in the whole consultation, but actually rounding out the consult.
We talk about that a lot.
We do talk about that a lot, but people still miss it. And sometimes when someone's shadowing you, you can be extra nervous, and it's really hard to stop people from being nervous. I think Peter is probably one of the rarities that's not nervous. Not nervous when I shadow you.
You've only done it once.
I've only done it once because she's too nervous. But I think, that kind of causes people to kind of like, their mind runs in circles, then I actually give definitive ideas, and they always say it's much better when you're not here. So,
but is it?
Yeah. So I
would hope so.
Eventually, when you get to confidence levels, you don't change your practice based on who's in there, and then you can get the best feedback, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. What else did I do?
You don't actually have your list, so...
Yeah, because my list is up here. So I also went and checked out a unit. I also checked out a unit to possibly move our offices this morning, so it looked kind of cool. And downstairs it's actually pretty chaotic because we've got social media, manager, admin, another dietitian, Peter, and myself all down there. And there's like 5 of us in one table on a room.
I'll be exiting stage left soon.
So I'm pretty hungry. So
I'm hungry.
It's bloody lunchtime here. It's 12:10 p.m. Starving. I don't know what else I've done. That was pretty much my Townsville. My Townsville's pretty much been my week. Other than just reading different contracts and helping practitioners with that, trying to land this Aboriginal Health Service contract, couple of medical centres, got to get a couple more up today just for contracts because they're keen.
Yeah, that's good.
What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? I've been, keeping everything on level playing field while you've been away. That's pretty good. So what have I done? So this week I suppose I've done a lot on Instagram around this. Bit of a gripe of mine is the misuse of terminology. So there's been a lot of conversation, I suppose, on my end, because I do all the letters, reviewing the letters that practitioners are writing back to GPs.
So we can improve them.
Yeah, 100%. So when people start new for the company, and even those people that have actually been out in dietetics for a little while, I still get them to send me some letters so I can give them some positive, negative, constructive feedback. And what I've noticed across the board is the lack of clarity when it comes to talking about food. So a big one that I ranted a little bit on Instagram about was around discretionary foods and the use of saturated fat.
What do you mean?
So, when I talked about that, there was a little bit of a question from a few viewers around what actually do I mean by that. So, say for example, when we're summarising someone's diet, we're saying they're having a lot of saturated fat. If they're having a lot of discretionary food, so say for example, they're having lots of biscuits and cakes.
And they're saying automatically it's saturated fat.
100%.
Yeah, so discretionary food, saturated fat. So you're just saying one does not equal one.
So if your grandma ate your cake and your biscuit, likely it's got a lot of
Shortbread
saturated fat in it. But these days, it's not the type of fat that's used commercially.
You just made me have a throwback to my grandma who used to make these shortbread cookies. Like, I'm not a sweet person, but they were good as a child. They were good as a child.
The clarity, I guess, around that is really frustrating. Other things around the glycemic index, actually not having an understanding around what foods are low, moderate and high glycemic index, discussions around refined and unrefined carbohydrates being inaccurate.
You talked to me a little bit about this, but what food did you actually ask someone what the GI was? Like
Tinned peaches.
Tinned peaches, so you asked students?
And also...
A dietitian?
Yes.
Tinned peaches. Okay.
Custard.
Okay, and what they said, custard was higher than tinned peaches?
Oh, they're all high.
Ah.
And another food I can't think of off the top of my head right now.
Tinned peaches, what did they clarify in syrup?
This was another discussion point, but no, there was no clarity around that. But it doesn't make a big amount of difference.
Because it's the peach, not the syrup.
Yeah, so big gripe of mine, as dietitians, we need to know our shit. We've talked about it multiple times, we need to know food. And the other issue is glassing over food and just talking about nutrients when, yeah, okay, that's important, but to be honest, that actually isn't the main issue with this person's diet. So I do see it a lot, and I understand the issues that we have. We want to make ourselves stand out. We want to probably put a little terminology or make sure that we're assessing the diet on top of that. But one, if you're going to assess the diet, it needs to be accurate. So please double check you've actually made the right assessment. Two is actually understanding the food that they're eating and thinking big picture in relation to their diet. So if someone's eating dairy foods and it's full cream dairy foods and they're having milk and there's only like 100 mils, and you're, as a generalization, saying, oh, they're having a lot of saturated fat in their diet because they're having that, we've got issues. So if you have concerns or questions around how you assess a diet, then you need to work on that. If you don't know numbers around kilojoule contents, fat content, and essentially glycemic values, there are ways to find that information out. Some of the students have said, oh, we don't get taught that. There's a lot of self-directed learning that actually has to go into being a dietitian. Obviously, then the foundation is there, but the knowledge building continues, as we've brought up many times.
And I guess like when you're through uni, you just expect that 50k you're spending, you're going to know absolutely everything when you come out. You know jack shit when you come out in comparison to what you'll learn if you actually work at it when you come out.
And remember, it's all background knowledge. It's not the specifics. It's not the practice. It's not the application to practice that we actually really need, and we need to build on, and we need to build on skills. So all that sort of stuff. The other is obviously using your brain. As you know, particularly around GI, that frustrated the hell out of me, is because even though I don't particularly know the exact glycemic value, I know where a food category actually sits. And that in itself is something that you learn just by knowing and being involved in it.
But if you don't, when you're going to see a client that has diabetes, then maybe the night before, and you're going to teach them about GI, and the night before you look at all of the glycemic indexes of all the foods that they're commonly eating and the foods that you're going to recommend. So you can actually go, well, this is what this is, this is what this is, and this is why it's going to improve. So I think you don't even necessarily need to walk around with it in your head, but knowing where you can find that information so that you're accurate when you give the information is pretty much the key unlock to every single condition and treatment of condition.
Yeah. And a lot of the time you would know it if we were talking about it as a community and as a class, but when we actually are having to do the written word in dietetics, we do it poorly. It's a hard thing to put on paper what is actually wrong with someone's diet. Do you agree at times?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, when it doesn't necessarily add up to what you would expect, especially when it comes to people who are overweight and they may not be eating that much based on their diet history or their food diary. So then you might struggle to go and say, look, they're overweight because they're overeating. It's just like, well, where's the evidence of that? You don't have evidence of that. X, Y, Z. So it can be very difficult, but
and obvious things like that are hard. The other is just making sure you actually are gathering information that you can then write a good assessment and a good diagnosis.
Something I said this week, I'll say often, information is power. Just about in every situation, whether you're marketing yourself as a dietitian or you're marketing yourself as a dietitian to your client, like knowing is the best, and then knowing exactly what they're doing allows you to then make the best recommendation. So if you don't have good data collection, your recommendations aren't going to be as good as what they would have been if you had better data collection. So
no, but we've talked about the excesses of data collection as well. So you do need to be very specific with the data that you're collecting is actually relevant to that client. It's not like, let's just collect every single thing.
So don't be comprehensively talking about every single thing. It's just like, this is the specific stuff that you need, and then be comprehensive with that. Like, it's rather than going just trouncing over everything and doing everything, and that's when we think excessive is when they just go, oh yeah, what about this, what about this, what about this? Just like, oh, you ate out once while you're away for 6 weeks. Okay, so what did you eat out? Oh yeah, KFC. Oh, what did you have at KFC? It's just like, does it really matter? It's once in 6 weeks. So that's not the thing you need to be targeting. So it's being really specific about what you're actually gathering, and then making sure you're able to provide advice at the end.
Yes, because that does form a very good letter.
Very good GP report / letter. Yep.
Thanks for the clarity on that. This week I've also been trying to build my skills to take some work off him in relation to contracts, writing them, dealing with them, negotiating them. So I've been doing a couple on my own with your assistance. Yeah. I've got to become accredited for a hospital. Yeah, I'm doing that.
Peter's really good at following instructions and doing forms that she has to do on time. She's really good at that.
There's no freaking deadline. Anyway, that's a pain in my backside.
There's no deadline. She reckons there's no deadline.
It will be good. I got it last week at the end of the week, and
hasn't done it.
I've nearly completed it. I'm missing stuff. I don't know if you guys have done clinical accreditation, but it's oh my goodness. So yeah, that's why I don't like working in hospitals. So this one obviously is going to allow me to work in a hospital, which is fine. Anyway, so that's what else I've been doing this week. I've got a course coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which I've got to do some pre-question and get those preambles done, certificates completed. So I have 10 days is my deadline to get those completed.
Other stuff I've done, is interviewed Lisa Vince, Dr. Lisa Vince for Dietitian Life, like I talked about last week. And then I just interviewed someone else this morning, Tyson and Peta. I have to pause each time because I'm used to saying their name for when I went to uni with them. But yeah, the other one was Lisa was PhD, doctor, did honours, accredited exercise physiologist, dietitian, now lecturing at Griffith University. Caitlin has been working in Alice Springs since she graduated, moved there, didn't know anyone, was going to go there for 12 months and now loved it and has been there 6.5 years and will be going back after she finishes maternity leave. So a good little insight into working rurally and regionally, and we kind of asked questions about what she struggled with initially and what advice she has for other people going through. So check that out.
Good.
Yeah, so that was good. It was good. I reckon it's really good, like, to have her because Alice Springs, like, even though it's kind of a hub, it's in the middle of Australia. So most people think of that as like the furthest out you can go, but there are worse places or more rural places or more isolating places.
You totally shit on her location.
She did too. Oh. It's in the middle of Australia. Like, you can't just like mosey on 4-hour drive somewhere, like mosey 4-hour drive. No, it's like an 18-hour what you fly.
Yeah, that's a commitment.
So you are fully hard in. But I think committing is probably the big thing. Well, she didn't really mention the word commitment, but if you commit to it and actually try and invest in the community, then you're actually going to enjoy it. Versus if you're always going there to look for your way out, then it's not.
Or it's just that stopgap.
Yeah. So you're looking for that way out. So it's just like you come in, you go, I'm only doing this for 6 months, and then I'm going back to get a job in the city. It's like you got to go with the thought of, I need to make the most of what this is.
Create your own life around where you work versus always trying to, go back to life.
So there's good advice about people who are actually applying for those jobs and what they're kind of looking for when people are applying, and we talked a little bit about that. So both in Dietitian Life and the Dear Dietitian episode that we did with them, with her. So yeah, I know, I really enjoyed it. It's good. Yeah,
that sounds like something that I might listen to.
Well, that's very nice of you, Peter.
I listened to most of them, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's all right. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Dietitian Life, yeah.